So if you've ever wanted to learn how to build a hobbit hole, this should be a video that would help you with that. Obviously, you're going to want to find a hill. I'm just making one. And if you do, just to make sure, it would be nice to terraform it, make it a little more neat, clean, all that. First thing I would do is, or the first thing you should do is try to find a sort of style. And just to make things quicker and frankly a lot easier, I would mostly just sort of mix that into building the front entrance, which is usually a circular sort of door, I guess, something like that. But I guess imagination always is nice, so you do whatever you want. Now, the thing about hobbit holes, things like that, is that they're very organic. So you gotta, like, mess around with the shape a bunch, and this is really good. In fact, it's something that you should probably do for everything, like, whenever you're building. You just want to, like, mess around with the shape until it looks right, and I was doing this for a really long time. Now, another thing is, when you're starting out with the theme of the build, like, what it's supposed to look like, you really want to take into consideration the palette, shape, and all of that, and definitely experiment a lot. Like that's always helped. I made this little roof thing, and then I ended up hating it, so I got rid of it. But for palettes, you really want to make sure everything just fits together, everything works. The thing I did here really just didn't sit well with me, so I had to mess with it a bunch, changing the clay for, you know, stone, and the stone for birchwood. Now, obviously, once I finished this little part, and you should always, you know, keep as much depth as you can. That's always nice. I finished the first little entrance, right? And then as soon as I did that, I had my style down. I knew what this whole place was going to look like, or at least a rough idea of what it was going to be like. So, added the door, which again, you should always add as much layers as possible. Good plan. And then I started adding another window. That's what it's called. Now the window I still had to mess with the shape. It's, again, very organic. You want to mess with it until you get it perfectly right. That's probably the hardest part about hobbit holes, but it takes a while to do this, so I would like you to keep that in mind, because sometimes it gets really annoying. And there's this, like, little rule with building or detailing or whatever it is, that, like, multiples of 3, or what I think they're talking about is, like, even odd numbers. Sorry, I get those mixed up too much. They usually look better, because they'll end up making, like, a sort of triangle thing, something like that, I don't know. And, that's a rule you should keep in mind, but it's also a rule I kind of broke in this video, so just don't focus on that part. That is classified information. But anyways, with hobbit holes specifically, you really want to, like, get it to feel really natural, and you want it to feel just like it fits right, which is why you gotta, like, mess with it just as much as you can. I just started messing with that window a bunch, started putting it up and down, because I just couldn't get the right feel for it. So I just had to sort of guess, things like that. A couple test trials, if that's what you would call them. But onto the other window. See, you shouldn't really keep all windows the same, or really anything the same shape with hobbit holes. Though similar style, things like that. Maybe you could do a couple that are the same. I'm not a master at this, but I am fairly good, I guess. But everything should be sort of on a separate level. They should all be uneven. They don't just, like, go in a straight line. They're not uniform, basically. You want them as ununiformed as possible. That's what makes hobbit holes so separate. They look so natural. It's because none of them are uniform. Okay, so you're done building your hobbit hole. You're done planning everything out. Now, even though it could technically pass and does look fairly good, you should still add a bit more detailing. Things like, you know, the actual windows, maybe messing around with it a bit, and also, you know, just messing with the terrain, which is always really nice. It makes it look really good. One of the things I did for this was I surrounded these windows, these parts, with coarse dirt, because, you know, it's coarse dirt. It just looks very rugged or something. It makes it feel like this was actually just placed in there, sort of dug out and then filled back in, you know? Though it's, you know, it's not really necessary. It's still obviously your choice. You decide, you're the one building it, you should, again, be creative. Come up with your own ways of doing it. It's always helpful, it's always nice, and who knows, you might even, I don't know what I was gonna say, like a builder breakthrough. I don't even know if those are things anymore. But, anyways, I started working on the path afterwards, and with Hobbit Holes, you should pretty much always have a path. They're very natural, so make it a very, like, you know, I was gonna say unnatural path, but that's actually the exact opposite of what I should have said. But, you make your path, and I haven't even finished mine. I don't know, I just gave up on it for a bit, I guess. But you should start working on, like, a sort of a farm, maybe a flower garden, things like that. It just, basically the integration of the Hobbit Hole is really helpful. It's really nice. Looks pretty epic. You know, give some lamps kind of jump cut right there. I don't know what was going in, like, I don't know what was going on in the replay, but I finished the path. That's nice. You should always just, like, keep looking at things you could do whenever you're building. The more you can add, well, I mean, to an extent anyways, better it can be. Make sure it doesn't mess with depth, though. That's why over-detailing is a problem. Now, with gardens, and this is not really much of a garden tutorial, I'm not great with those. You sort of, like, you have a little path going through. You add a bunch of flowers, tall flowers, things like that. Maybe a couple berry bushes. I don't think I did that because I'm just not good enough. And then you could, like, add leaves to sort of act as bushes instead of, you know, the actual bushes that Mojang gave us. Because those are kind of garbage, everyone knows this. But, like, it really does sort of give a more physical feel to all of this instead of just something you can literally walk straight through. But the whole integration part of the build can really make a huge difference. It sort of changes this specific mountain. It doesn't really... It draws it out from the other, like, hills, but also makes it blend in better. Though, I mean, honestly, if you're making a singular Hobbit Hole, might as well make a whole village, right? Yeah, odds are no one agrees with me on that. But now, yeah, you might be wondering, what about the interior? How are we gonna make the interior? Just... don't. No, not right now. You can... If you guys subscribe and you like the video, tell me if you want to. I'll make a second part. That second part obviously being how to build interiors. But seriously, if you want to know how to build that, tell me in the comments section. And if you really want to know how to do anything with building, ask that too. I'm kind of, you know, I really want to know what is good. If you guys have building questions, it would be really nice to be able to answer them. It gives me a sense of meaning, you know, especially since my life has none.